Welcome to the Waves of Change podcast, where we aim to inspire the listener to awaken to their purpose and take the action required to live life on their own terms. My name is Darragh, confidence and mindset coach, speaker, entrepreneur and humanitarian. I will be sitting down with creators from all walks of life who grew through the waves of change in their lives to be making the impact in the world they are today. Robyn Brown Ing, how are you? It's been a while getting you on here. I've been all through the traffic. Body's been hectic at the minute. But anyways, good to see you. Good to see your body transformation, and it's also great to see you are a sound healer these days. Welcome
thank you.
to the Waves of Change podcast. How are you doing?
All good, thank you.
Robyn, so Robyn is a dear friend of mine and a wagon, one that I used to punch around the gym.
You try it.
I ended up with 2 black eyes for life trying to bully you. So, how's things, Robyn? Can you give us a little bit of your background and what life is like for you growing up?
Yeah, everything is good. So I grew up in Dublin 1 city centre in a council area, council set of flats, and life was it was wild, but like it was amazing. It was amazing. Like we would have had nothing. We grew up, as I said, in a flat complex, and things were a bit mental, but like it was brilliant. It was so many lessons, and just it was all good. Now just hanging about 24/7, like getting up to no good, but like not intentionally getting up to no good. It was just innocent fun, just finding our way through the streets. It was brilliant.
Yeah, for me, I know over in the flats, our idea of fun was throwing eggs and fucking
throwing eggs, car passing by the flats.
Proper dangerous, like running amok.
I know. I'm sorry that any taxi man that was caught and done that too.
Or any person.
No, the same. Our days of fun was like, you go to a back lane and you'd find an empty building, and you'd use that then as a camp until you got found out and you'd get through. And there was like boys and girls, loads of us, and we'd go in and we'd set up, so we'd meet there every day after school, and you'd stay there. Sometimes you could have a building for like an empty idle building for weeks on end, and then you'd get caught and you'd get through the place, to get boarded up, and you'd find another one. So that was our idea of fun and just gallivanting. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that's deadly, because all over that side it's got them big Georgian houses, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And big yours.
And then like there's loads of street shops around the kind of the flat complex. And I mean, if one of them was idle, somebody would find out or know, and we'd have it until we got found out. It was brilliant.
On the wacky backy.
Tried it.
Did you like it?
No.
Me myself, I was I can't remember when I actually stopped, but I needed to stop. I was smoking on the way to the job at 6 o'clock in the morning, and having another joint before lunch. Not lunch. They call it smoko in Australia, but in Ireland it's just a small break. So I think it's at 9:30. We'd have had 2 or 3 joints by that time. Like, you wouldn't know your own name.
I've tried it. The thing with me is I get too in my head, and I just wasn't into that feeling. Just the constant thoughts and the over processing of every situation and all. I couldn't just relax and flake out or do anything the way all my friends could, so it wasn't for me.
Like somebody sitting in your brain with a magnifying glass, just magnifying your thoughts. That's exactly what happened to me.
Magnifying your thoughts, and you're like, oh, just go away. No.
And then, Robyn, so growing up into your teenage years, and what was life like in that transition coming from school?
Yeah, so growing up was the same thing. Like, we obviously came from a family that wouldn't have had a lot, but we made the most of every single thing that we had. And really the only way that I can remember my childhood and then transitioning even into teenage years was just pure love. Although there was nothing else, no materials, nothing that we could have had. Even sometimes I wouldn't be able to do certain sports or certain things like that because we wouldn't have had it. But we still had a life of pure love, which was brilliant. So then growing up, like going into my teenage years, again, wild, probably in Barcode when we were 15. Chance never. So we would have started going out really young, drinking from a very young age. We started drinking around back lanes. So when we were like, I can't tell you what age it was. I think it would have been about 13 or 14. If we were in Barcode when we were 15, it would have meant we had a drink with them. We would have had no problem getting somebody to get us drink on the side of the street.
It's great, wasn't it?
And we'd share an agin of vodka and a bottle of Coke and a pack of King up the back lane for the taste of the vodka. But yes, we would have been going then at a really young age after that, and we just grew up quite quick. But again, just out on the party scene, going from nightclub to nightclub and then back to parties till the early hours of the morning or whenever you came around.
What days? What the early hours of some other day. But you know what? I just want to swing all the way back here. Something you said. It's you didn't have a lot, but you had everything that you needed.
Yeah.
And it just something landed for me here in regards to the community spirit around the flats. I grew up in the flats, but can you allow the listener, your opinion of the community spirit growing up in the flats?
Safety and connected. You never felt alone. I would say, like, you know, everybody was there for each other. If your mom wasn't in, your neighbor was your second mom. Then, you know, you could knock in. You could knock in.
Story of me life.
Or if you were acting out, like if you were doing something wrong, the neighbor was able to give out and just put you back in your place, and you'd be like, "Oh, you can't do this," because everyone was so close, and you know, like they would have been able to just say, like, tell your mom or whatever. Everyone was so close. Or if your mom hadn't got milk or tea bags or anything like that, you'd get it off your neighbor. Or we'd all have dinner, and like my friends would have dinner sometimes in my house, and vice versa. We all just lived in each other's houses, and we're just with each other 24/7 as kids. So I felt really safe and really communally connected, which I've only really realized in me later life, because it's something that I think is very important to have a community of people who are just there for you and stand up for you, and you all stand up for each other. And now, like, it's kind of like, wow, that's what we grew up around, and you didn't even realize that we had it.
Amazing. So what I got from that, it's like, you know, I grew up in the flats as well. So instead of it being like the 2-bed flats that we grew up in, it's an open door policy. So it's like you're growing up in a mansion as opposed to a 2-bedroom flat.
I just picture the flats like Butlins or like Sunshine House, and everyone just lives together. And like there was no phones or anything. So as soon as you walk out, either 10 of your friends be at your hall door waiting on you to come out after school, or you walk around like going, I
haven't heard that in donkeys. Okay.
Do you remember that?
Yes. I tell you what, you can't beat the Dublin one-liners.
Brilliant.
And you say that you didn't notice, like you didn't realize how good it was until sort of today. Is that because it's changed, or what's going on?
Yeah, like I think what's happening in today's world in general with kids and with people, everything is overanalyzed. People like are completely gone away from just being, you know. So like if we said something bad to your friend in the flats years ago, it went over your shoulder an hour later and you were back best friends. Whereas nowadays it's kind of like, you know, or even if let's say my friend went up to our mum years ago and was like, "Oh, Robyn said this," or vice versa, and you'd be like, go well, like get out there, she's your friend, and everything be sorted out and nothing be done about it. But now people overanalyze things, and it's just like thought about too much, and then it comes into like, you know, form of bullying, and it's just a separation I feel from the overanalyzing of life in general. people are overanalyzing everything, that they're separating themselves from everything around us, and people just aren't being anymore.
Great
You know,
answer. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. And when you disconnect from each other, then you're disconnecting from yourself as well.
and that's when you become really, really lonely.
Mm.
You know, because when you overanalyze things and you have this guard up, and you think, if someone said something to you, you would have never thought about it the way people think about things nowadays. And everyone is taking offense to these things, whether it's kids or kids telling their mammies things and the mammies having a word with each other and all the rest of it. And that's what's pulling people further and further. Number one, away from themselves, and number two, away from each other.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great point, because we are like relational beings. We
Yes,
operate best when we're in community, because we help each other
100%.
to grow and support each other.
Yeah.
What do you feel has been like society has become so politically correct? It's a fucking
Yeah.
joke, it is, you know. But what do you feel has created or instigated that sudden move? Because I remember you used to, your ma's your ma's a fag cunt. And you're
Oh, the
fuck you,
slagging.
you black cunt, and you nigger, and you played this, that, and the other. Do you know what I mean? And that was
Yeah, like I
part of
used to get
growing up.
called teeth a bit. We teeth, like we're
Paint
all
the
obviously
bits.
all over it. Teeth a bit. And you just laugh it off. Or else you go through a little phase where you had a little bit of pud, like you were pudgy, and people might call you like, and
What,
it's not
like
even
last
like,
week?
yeah, like a few weeks ago, yeah.
2
But
weeks
you
ago.
know, like these things, and it's not nice, I suppose, obviously. But like, I mean, it's easy. Like years ago, you take it on the chin and you just blow it off, and you're still friends. Everything is took now way too serious. It's overanalyzed, and people are just losing that sense of, like, you know, just getting on with things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think is a good antidote to that? I think that's the word. Or something that could reverse or help reverse people taking things so
I,
personally.
I really think to change anything, or to change how we see things, it starts with changing yourself. We can't like project how we can change this world, or what needs to be done to change this world, or what needs to be done to change our community, without changing ourselves. It has to start, and you have to really feel it from yourself, because then only you can project exactly what you've learned and exactly how you are taking way of life, let's say, and you can just show others. We have to show others the way. We can't like sit there and tell people what needs to be done to change. We have to change ourselves.
Yes, I love that. And that's it. Michael Jackson said in one of his songs. But yeah, you got to start within,
And
and,
one
and,
hundred percent.
and allow people to see it in the process. And it's interesting because when all the work that I've done and continue to do, when I was at home, towards the end of my trip, I was starting to second guess and try and
What?
think what people were thinking. I'm like
Yeah.
where previously I wouldn't give a bollocks. But then,
Yes.
you know, certain actions, I'm like, oh, are they doing that because of this, or are they choosing that because of that? And I don't know
Yeah.
whether it was me or whether I was in the environment for long enough to
Yeah. You see, Dublin
creep
is a
into
very small.
what's that's normal.
Yes. And Dublin is a very small place, and I think when people don't realise, even if they give it a small opinion, or say something tiny, minute to the way you're living your life now, you start to actually think, am I, because people haven't chose to evolve, or haven't chose to change, or don't even know that they can change, and you have changed your life, you've done a 360 on your life. So then when you come back to Dublin and you're in that vibrational space of people that haven't changed, because number one, they obviously don't want to, or number two, they don't know that they can change. You start to doubt yourself. So you do, and you start to think that, like, oh, I'm a bit off here, because we're in that love, like you're in that different situation.
Yeah, and different people's different energies and what is
And it's,
their normal. And
yeah.
then they look and
And
point
it's
to
one thing that sorry for speaking over you there, it's one thing I don't really think too much about, because again, like, I'm still very much smack bang in Dublin. And like where I grew up, I'm pretty sure people from my area think I'm a little bit gone. But if I talk too much about
a
what
little
they
bit.
think, if I talk too much about what they think, I wouldn't be filling my cup. I wouldn't be fulfilling my dreams, and whether they're right or wrong in anybody else's world, they're right in mine.
Love it. I love it. And speaking of which, and the healing and honoring yourself and what's true to you now, can you help me understand as well how far you've come? So finish your story.
Yeah, so like when I was a teenager, and again, I had a great life, life with all my friends, and we were always out partying and having a ball. And towards kind of like my, I'd say, early 20s, I kind of was starting to see like I didn't really like this, but I still done it for many years after that, and it was just for a social thing. How else? Like, and I never even realized back then that that's why I was doing it. It was just like, oh, this is it. Get the shoes back on, go back over for another weekend, and then feel shit for the week or whatever. And we had a ball when we done it. But then over the years, like, you know, people be like, oh, I knew I didn't want to drink. And obviously people having an opinion and stuff like that. And I just I knew it wasn't for me, but as well, I wasn't strong enough to even realize or stand up and go like, this is just not for me. And as well, when you come from a very, very busy lifestyle and having friends like all over Dublin, we would have hung around all over Dublin, to go down and do something or like choose a path that nobody else really has done. It's very lonely. And it's a very hard decision to make. Like, it's very lonely. But at the same time, I know for sure it's exactly what I want. Do you know, that kind of way? And as well, along the way, I've met beautiful people who are very much on the same path. But so coming back to my 20s, like, it was very hard to kind of be like, do you know what, this is just not for me. Now, don't get me wrong, I did drink and done whatever else as well for a good couple of years. But like in the last 2019 was when I really was like, this is it. It's what exactly I want to do, and it's what I'm doing.
Legend. And just something that you said about alcohol and, you know, carrying on doing something that you didn't want to do, but you wanted to fit in because
Exactly.
there was a fair judgment from others. Like, can you tell me how, you know, you knew you didn't want to drink alcohol and people judged you for that in the early days of you not drinking? Can you tell me what the impact of that was like on you?
Yeah, like I'm going to, like, one thing about me and what I've noticed and some friends have noticed as well is I don't really have a lot of self-sabotage or self-doubt, which is brilliant. So when I remember like years ago when I was kind of like, we'd be going out and I'd say to one of my really good friends at the time, well, do you know what, I'm just like, I'm not really into the drink. And she'd always give it, you know, a real kind of smarmy one-line opinion. And it kind of gets me a little bit, but then I never really let stuff like that get in on me. But then over the years, when I start choosing what I wanted to do and kind of like disconnecting, let's say, from the nights out and everything, I've lost those people, you know, and yeah, so it's kind of like we've just moved because we're going different ways. But yeah, I never really let the words or opinions, very, very rarely would I let that get in on me, which is I think is a really good gift that I have, because if I did let the thoughts or opinions of others get in on me as such, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing today.
Legend. Well done. And
yeah, no, I don't know. I've recognized this, and then both couple of friends that I have now really recognize it in me as well, and something that I'm like, well, yeah, it's just a gift I have naturally, just comes naturally to me. I don't self-doubt, I don't self-sabotage, and I don't really let the opinion of anyone else on me come into me.
Deadly. Legend. And it's it's inspiring. Well done. If you want to carry on, so into your 20s then, what was life like for you growing?
Yeah, so then when I was 20, I went to Australia actually. I went traveling to Australia, and I done 5 weeks in Australia and then 5 weeks through China, Hong Kong, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. So that was when I was 20. And again, like, when I think back, I'm like, no, actually, sorry. I left Ireland when I was 19 and I was 20 to 2 weeks later. And when I think back, and I'm like, my mum, she actually let me do this.
Oh, fucking your man's a
there was no iPhones back then, no smartphones. Like,
yeah.
I had to.
Done
if I
a
wanted
favour.
to show our pictures or upload
Dublin a
on
favour.
Facebook, I had to finish that. Like these were the days when I was traveling for 12 weeks. I sent my ma home a postcard.
Wow. Fucking hell.
Like honestly, there was no smartphones or nothing like that. Now I had a really good camera back then, but like when I think about, and I just trusted in myself. Obviously, I went with my partner at the time, and we went traveling, and that really, really opened my heart and my mind a lot to this world, and just showed me how vast it is and how beautiful, and how Dublin is so small, and that there's way more things out there. So from that, then that's when I started journaling about my life, and that's when I set a goal that I was 20 then, and I wanted to travel and be on each continent by the time I was 30, and I done that.
Legend. What year was that, Robyn, when you left?
So that was, what year? Would it be 2000? What year are we now? No.
2023.
So I went 13 years ago, 2010.
2009. 2009. Just
I think you would have been. Did you go Australia around then?
I did. I think I was chatting here. One another told me. Yeah, I think. Yeah, because I think your brother mentioned it, but I was already over there.
Yeah.
So
my goal when I went wasn't to live there, such. It was just to travel. We had met loads of people. It was like 25 Irish people traveling from Cairns down to Sydney, and there was 12 of us taking down the route by bus, and there was the other 13 was in camper vans, and we'd meet in each town. We had the best time of our lives, and then we headed off and we done China. Like when we landed in China, there wasn't a word of English. Like Beijing, no one had a bit of English. We didn't know where we were going. Done the Great Wall of China. Then we headed off to Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. It was amazing. So from then, I wanted to travel the world. Obviously, came home then, and I had my daughter when I was 21. So that kind of put a little few breaks on my life. But I still got to travel the world, because every year then after that, I chose a different country, and my mum would mind me little girl if I needed it. And off I went.
Amazing. What's your little girl's name for all the listeners?
Laura, she's 12 now.
She's 12. And the boss as well, I see. The real boss. The real boss of the house. But quickly, before we move on to your daughter and your family life, what would you say to anybody on the sidelines, like how did traveling change you? And what would you say to anybody on the sidelines thinking about doing it?
Go for it. 100%. It's an explosion and expansion of your heart and your mind. That's all I can say.
Love it.
And what's the worst that can happen? If somebody goes and leaves Ireland and they're not into it, they've tried it, come home. You'll never know unless you try.
What's the best that can happen?
You won't come back.
Because we're going to end up in Bali 15 years later.
With 2 kids and a marriage.
With a hole in the roof and a leaking bedroom.
Going to do mobile top-up before this call.
Oh, yeah. The internet went, this for the listeners, so just had to drive it for an hour with my laptop on my shoulder. I then discovering that we have no internet in the gap because it runs out every month. I have to go in and pay cash in the shop to top it back up. It's proper.
I miss those days.
Proper ready to go. It's great, but it's annoying as well at times. I just topped it up last week. But what was the train of thought? Yeah, so coming drummer. So my friend drummer, yeah, we were in Melbourne and we were in a nightclub and we were chatting to whatever. You know the way you meet people along the road, like you traveling down the East Coast and you're in the backpackers. That's something I wish I would have done more of, because it's just fucking wild. I've done a bit of it just at the end, but it's mental, isn't it? But I said to someone,
we stayed with the Aborigine people in.
Did you?
We stayed. I have loads of pictures of us in an Aboriginal camp, and they danced and they painted their bodies for us. And there was, the dingo dogs that are like, don't go near. There was dingoes in the camp, and they were like, they didn't touch us, didn't harm us. The Aboriginal people were like, no, they're safe, everything is fine. and we stayed with them. They took us in, and we stayed with them on an island. Where was this from?
Fraser Island.
Fraser Island. That's where it was. Yeah, we stayed with the Aboriginal people for 2 nights. It was an unbelievable experience.
Wow.
Dancing out by our body painting, and it was unbelievable.
That just my face is beaming as
Yes.
well for people.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And then the traveling, it was amazing. But yeah, we stayed, just going back to Australia, because I know you've done a long time there, but we stayed with the Aboriginal people over there. It was amazing.
That's it. Done more than I did with them in 15 years.
Yeah.
I know a few now. I work with a few. But I never lived and stayed with them for. With Saoirse, one of them is in Saoirse's new book that she's launched.
Unbelievable.
She's got an elder, yeah, an old. I think she's in her 60s, maybe early 70s. But
Right.
Wisdom is
Wisdom.
Lived off the land, the whole lineage, yeah, it's amazing. But drummer, I was saying to drummer in my first few months in Australia, I was like, I can't believe how nice everybody is. And he said something I'll never forget. Only like-minded people go traveling. So
yes.
people on the other side of the world like that have made the effort, and there's something in them that it's not.
Yeah.
That they're not
And
afraid to flock
the
the
only
nest.
thing that's stopping people is the box around their minds.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Literally a box, and all you have to do is open it and choose to step in.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It's just a box around your mind, and it's like that with every life choice.
That's there's a photograph. I don't know if you see it. It's on Facebook. It's on social media. But there's a man with a big huge smile on his face, but in his head, it's a see-through part of his head, and he's in a cage in his head. That's what I. And that's the analogy I see when you say that. So yeah, Robyn, then moving on, then you had a beautiful little girl at the age of 21. What was life like after that, as you were into mother?
Yeah, so obviously being a little bit young, life was tougher. I had really good help off my mum and my sister and my family, I lived with my mum at the time. So yes, and then obviously soon after I had my little girl, I became a single mum, so that was a lot harder. And just being young, I suppose, and my friends still going out on the party scene, and my friends just being able to go to shop, and I couldn't do this anymore. So that type of that change for me was really hard. But I can't deny the fact that I had really great help from my mum, for little things. If I wanted to go to cinema, or I wanted to go for a night out. But now my mum would always make us stand on our own 2 feet financially, which I'm grateful for, because it just really puts me, I suppose, where I am today. Not to say I'm a millionaire or anything, but I'm able, whether I feel like I'm broke or I have a few bob, I'm able for myself. And I think if I had support, some people have support most of their life. You don't really get that strength in. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard, life was harder, but I got good help.
Yeah, amazing. And as you said, the second last sentence there, it was I just heard resilience as you were speaking. Being a single parent, and honestly, I've no idea. I take my hat off to all single mothers. My own mother, she had 3 boys, yourself, and any other single mother. I don't know how the fuck you do it. I honestly don't.
I know. I look back and I'm I'm full-time mom, and then even because obviously again, if you let the society kind of choose, or you let the society's thoughts and stuff get in on you, I set up my own business when I was 20. I started working for myself then when I was 25, and that was still being a single mother, and that was I had to work full-time, probably more than that. I managed to do my school runs on my break, drop her to school before work, collect her. Sometimes she'd be in work with me, and I managed to do it all. Do you know what I mean? Because I never thought that was impossible. I just made sure that I it's what I wanted to do, and I done it. Which was harder, obviously, again. But when I think about obviously being a full-time mommy, full-time business owner, it's wow, 10 roles in one.
Fair play to you as well. It's there's another thing. It's a mother will always find a way. A mother, that's what I see. You know, there's loads of single people here, like single mothers here where I live, and you meet them all around, you know. But it's good to see what like it's like phenomenal what you guys can create.
You'd make like if you have 15 minutes spare, you'd be able to make a dinner. You get things like, because you're like, you have to, you've no choice and you have to. You just start thinking really logic with time, like, and that's what I do anyways. I make sure like, I'm just really logic with time. Food shopping, you just have to have really strong structure. And then again, like if you want to be able to make these choices as a mammy in general, like let's say going to the gym, having the business, doing everything that I want to do, you have to be structured with yourself and your mentality, and you just have to make things happen.
Yes, I love it. Well done. Robyn, we have small amount of time with Robyn because I was late. But anyways, we're gonna rush through.
We might have to do a part 2.
We'll definitely do a part 2 because I know we're fucking barely scratching the surface here. Anyways, so business owner, single parent, at the age of 25, going up into what age are you, by the way?
I'm 33.
I'm a third.
33 and a third.
Your hair's lovely, by the way. I don't think I've ever seen that long. But
thanks, I got a while back.
You what?
Did you say you never seen it that long?
I can't remember saying it that long. I can't.
Yeah. No, it's flying back there. Okay, cool.
Anyways, putting you on the spot. Later on, then into owning your own business as a single parent, and what was life like? You started to evolve, and what was life like for you doing that transition?
Yeah, so then, again, when I started working for myself, I had to start making choices, and that's kind of what helped me, and I think definitely brought me to being firm with, no, I'm not drinking anymore, I'm not going out taking recreational drugs, or I'm not into the partying. And I suppose I just made that choice then, and especially when I set up the actual Robyn Browning Brows business, that was in 2019 as well. And I remember saying to myself, if I want this to work, I have to change my life, and if it means putting the graft in for a year or two and just like completely put my effort into here, I have to do it. And it worked. And now I have like 3 members of staff and 2 girls that do the eyebrows and the lashes, and then I have a girl that does all my admin work. So like, I mean, it's grand, and it's exactly what I wanted. I wrote it all down, and it's what I envisioned. To have a couple of brow beds and to have a studio that was like running 24, well, not 24/7, full time working brow studio, and that's what I do. Like I'm a full time. I trained full time in college to be a beautician, and I don't even need to actually advertise or put anything else as a service here because we're busy enough with eyebrows, and that's what I wanted.
Amazing. I was laughing earlier when I was saying an electric picnic.
When was this? What year was?
Just last year. What was it? 2022.
Forgot about that. I really recognised it.
I know. I had the party hat on, the glasses.
I was sober, were you?
I couldn't see straight. I had to bounce. Like, I should have got my armband back or whatever the VIP thing was. But anyway.
That was party tent.
And I was deadly. I was fucking fuming. Well, I wasn't fuming. I was just trying to get my band back because I would go back in and out. But then I don't know how I was saying it. I honestly don't know how. Oh, you saying me, didn't you?
Me and Anna were standing there, so I remember you were kind of, it was like you were walking by and then you coughed and you
like recreational, everything, stuff. It was brilliant, anyways, wasn't it? They were deadly.
Yeah, it was a great. I love electric.
Riff Shop, was it? Riff Shop.
Riff Shop are brilliant. They do Castle Bacardi tent.
Yeah, they were lethal. But sorry to cut you off. Coming back to your story and something you said about gone 2 years off alcohol while building your business, writing your dreams into reality, like manifesting. So I've got 2 questions here, right? I'll start with the first. What was it like for you? Like, how far in life did you put yourself forward by quitting alcohol and consciously taking action towards your goals and dreams?
Um, so yeah, like so I remember when I wrote down about setting up my own business. I remember talking to it to me. My partner, who's now my husband, I remember saying to him, I'd love to have my own studio and I'd love to have 5 or 6 brow beds in the studio and people work for me. And he was like, oh, we were chatting about it and I wrote it down. And at the moment I have 5 brow beds in the studio that we work in the studio that I have. So and then in 2019, obviously, like knowing that Monday to Friday I have a strict routine, whether it's field shopping, school runs, football with my little girl, all different activities. And then come Friday and Saturday, I would work on a Saturday. And if I went out on a Saturday night and then drank, I'd be knocked back till the following Wednesday. So making that decision then just to completely stop that, like I definitely think it built a solid foundation. Number one, I suppose, for my reputation as who I am and what we do and everything else, because I believe like that I have a good reputation in business and in brows.
Uh-huh.
And I really think that's what built the solid foundation for the business. And that's how even like last year was a little bit of a pretty tough year, obviously due to the knock-on effect of COVID and, you know, people aren't going out as much anymore. And COVID as well, I suppose, hit us really hard as well. But we're still standing. And I think having that foundation, I don't think if I had that foundation, I probably don't think we'd be open today. Just with the knock-on effect from COVID and then last year. So I think the foundation and staying off the drinking all really built that. So like it's solid for the future.
Brilliant. There's fucking so much I can talk to you about. But coming back to the second part of that question, you wrote your dreams into reality. What, in other words, a lot of people say about manifestation and how to manifest there. What would you say to somebody who thinks they can manifest without working to get what they want?
Like I really think the power is in the pen, because I think like thoughts are very powerful as well. And I think a thought, something that's a thought in your head for if you want to manifest or if you want to invite or bring something to your life, when you start thinking about it, you energetically change your energy. And then that's how we start to attract these things. And that's what manifesting really is. We're all energetic beings and we all vibrate at different frequencies. And if we are vibrating higher and thinking higher frequencies, everything is at ease and everything comes and flows at ease. So I think then when we put something, the power in the pen, when we write something down, we're staring on what we want and we're really believing that this is what we want. And I think then the power behind that is what brings it into your life.
And does you just writing about it without actually fucking going out and doing the whatever you're doing, the trainings you're doing, putting your neck on the line?
I journal all the time and I don't be really strict. If I forget to journal or I don't have a week, I can't do it for a week. I'm not too hard on myself. I think what happens is when you have to just believe that no matter what stage of life you're at, whether it's really high or really low, because there's a lot more low times than there is high times, that you have to believe that what is happening for you is the creation of who you want to be or where you want to go. And it's teaching us something. Because if let's say when we have the low times and we don't take it as a lesson and we turn it into like a victim.
Yeah.
And we turn it into like a victim, why me? Your energy levels and your frequency is lower. So you can't go forward, it's stagnant. You know? So I think that's like, so yeah, when you write stuff down, you have to know, yeah, obviously it's not just going to come and appear and knock on the door and go, hey, here's your new car, or hey, here's that house you're dreaming of. You know what I mean? You have to work hard, like you have to do it.
It doesn't work like
that. No, it's not happening in 2 years. It's not meant to happen in 2 years. It could be 10 years, but just know that in your lifetime, what's meant to be and whatever you want and whatever you desire, you can have.
Well, I love it. They say 10,000 hours to master a skill, or it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. So if you keep taking a lot, you can wait until 70. I think that's the new retirement age, or you can create a life that you love to live, that working every day doesn't feel like work.
Just feels,
it feels like
and
play.
you love it. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's it. It's about then being balanced, the balance work life, and you feel balanced.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Robyn, you've crossed over now. You're now a sound healer. Um, Man, there's so many ways I can go with this conversation. But tell me more, anyways. Yeah, plant medicine. We'll start with plant medicine real quick.
I think we needed another podcast for that.
Just for that alone, don't we? We do.
Well, no, look, come here. Plant medicine is amazing and it's very powerful. But I think at the moment, what's happening with plant medicine is it's being high, openly spoke about, which is great because it's obviously brought into all of our lives. But if you take plant medicine, it doesn't just change your world; you have to change
With
in
it.
order for it to work.
Yes, I love it. And the same with our stays with you once you open up that portal too. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, just to highlight what Robyn was saying, that you know, a lot of people go and expect to be fixed when in
Absolutely.
reality they're not broken in the first place. But if you go and you have this extremely powerful medicinal, like natural medicine, and you awaken to your soul's purpose, so you have so many breakthroughs and healing. But then 3 or 4 weeks later, and even one weekend later, you're fucking in the pub, smashing alcohol and drugs and all of that. Like, it doesn't work like that. You've got to
Yeah, and you
evolve
have to
with
be
yourself.
as well as even is as that, like mentally you have to be strong because you see things completely different. And sometimes people think, oh, I'm gonna take plant medicine and just change my life and all. And sometimes people aren't ready for the change because the change is very different. Very different. But it's I've like had profound, beautiful, amazing experiences that like have changed me and my life forever. But again, I think it's another talk that like we could really go into in another time. Like
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, therefore, because it's Robyn is off to Brazil tomorrow. Tell me about that.
I feel like I'm going home.
I love it.
I don't
Amazing.
know. I keep saying I'm so excited. This is a trip that I've wanted. I've had this on my list since I'm 20. My goal was to be on Machu Picchu by the time I was 40, and I got there, and that's where I
Yeah.
got engaged. From when I was 40, I was on Machu Picchu. I never got to finish my trip back then, and this is what I'm going back to do.
Mm, amazing. Hats off to fucking Alan. Like, what a fuck, what a legend. Did he ever
I
tell
know.
you about the proposal story? And obviously don't know it, but did he
We,
know that he was going to
I
do
didn't
it
have
up
a
there?
clue that was going to happen. I actually did not have a clue, but like, what a place, Machu
Yeah. Did,
Picchu.
did he like how far ahead did he plan it, or was it spur of
We
the
booked
moment?
that trip in the March or April of 2019, and we were going in September. And he
Yeah.
knew that how much I wanted to go there, and he knew how long I had this on my wish list. So he was like, "If this is it," so we had to start planning from the March. I think he told me about that. Yeah. So my
Amazing.
sister and his sister knew about it. I hadn't got a clue.
Not a Scooby. How long are you going for this time?
15 days.
15 days. And into the Amazon all the way in? Or what's
I don't
happening?
know. We're gonna fly into Rio. We're gonna do 2 or 3 days in Rio, and then we're gonna go do a Guazu Falls, which is the waterfall on the border of Brazil and Argentina. Then I'm hoping to get a night or two in the Amazon. Nothing too heavy, nothing too major. And then there's an island off down like off the coast of Rio. It's called Isla Grande, and it's a tropical island. There's no cars. Everything is cash. There's all caves and waterfalls and all the rest of it, white sandy beaches. So we're going to go there for a couple of days. And then Carnival is on for the last 2 days of our
Ah,
trip.
you're joking. Stop. I was supposed to go to Carnival with mate. He's actually marrying us. Alan's the celebrant. We were
All
to
right.
go traveling South America, and I met Saoirse at Bournemouth. And I got with her like 6 months later, and me and Alan had
You
planned South
cancelled your
America
trip.
together. She owes me it. And then the lads tried to book it for my stags, and it was one of those ones where, nah, we're too messy and wild to go there. Like, I
Yeah.
would end up
I
dead.
know. Yeah. You'll get there. I'll let you know what it's like.
Yeah, it can. You're gonna come back looking like a peacock. You've evolved so much, you probably will.
I'll probably fly.
Yeah, yourself. Robyn, you last question before the last question. You now I recognise you are doing sound healing. A quick rundown of your transition to that and how it impacts your clients or whatever you call
Yeah, so I've always loved let's say alternative modalities to feel a little bit better. I'm not going to say healing because sometimes it's not that way. I've always loved that, and I always loved like healing frequency music on YouTube. And I just found every time I listened to it, I just found like, so just going back years, I found it just really centered me and just made me feel powerful in a way and relaxed. So from then, during lockdown was at the start of lockdown, I'm a little bit of a researcher. When I get into something, I kind of research it and all the rest of it. So I researched and I got really deep into the researching of sound healing, and I took then me 3 levels during lockdown. Then when things came back, got a little bit busy again, and I didn't really practice it as such, just for like, let's say Alan or even on Lola or the kids or whatever. And then last year, I kept saying, I really want to get into sound healing. How am I going to do all this? How am I going to, where am I going to find the time with the salon? Got married in June, and then I was a little bit sick after the salon for a while, so I had to pull back a lot on work, which then gave me the time to open up and be creative and start doing the sound healing, the sound baths, like the sound healing sessions, the group sessions. And it's flying, and I started them last September, and I've put on one a month since then, and they're really busy, like, and it's so powerful and beautiful.
Just quickly on the sound healing, what is it like? How are your clients experiencing it? What are they feeling after going through sound healing back with you?
So they're all feeling a really, not going to say intense. Sometimes they're more intense than others. Emotional releases. That's exactly what happens. Let's say the day after the group sessions. Sometimes people come in and they just feel completely relaxed, blissed out during the session, and it's something that lots of them have never felt before. How it would affect them after this, because we're moving energy. The sound is moving the energy through the body, and it's obviously then through the breath and stuff that I guide them through will release that. So that's what they're feeling. Definitely feeling emotional releases, and people just feel really good after. And as well, it's very good for one-to-one sessions. If people have something that they want to work on themselves, you can do continuous one-to-one sessions on a weekly basis or every 2 weeks or whatever, and really work on something. Like, it's so powerful.
So help them to release like trauma or emotions or locked energy from their body.
Yeah, and sometimes people don't even know that they're holding all this. So what happens is the instruments that I use are vibrating at a certain frequency, but all of our organs in our body are vibrating at a certain frequency as well. And these instruments are tuned to that. There's different frequencies from the different instruments that I use. So for argument's sake, if I'm just say working with the Tibetan bowls or whatever, and they're at a certain frequency, it's aligning with our body.
Mm-hmm.
And it can change the cellular form of our cells. It can change our blood. It can change and move as well. Our body is 90% water, and it can move all this. So stagnation that's in the body, in the physical body, and it can move stuff as well through your energetic body and your emotional body and your soul body. This power of the sound will move all that stagnant energy that we're holding onto.
Amazing. As you were saying that, what I visualized there was, you ever see when sound and water, I think there's water that's put on a speaker and they play the music and it comes to life.
Different shape.
Yeah, that's what I see. And what would you say to women or men who are on the fence and afraid to have a sound bath?
Just number one thing I do say is just don't judge. And if you are curious of anything, just have the courage to take that step. And if you never know, you'll never try.
Amazing. Robyn, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a very busy woman. And the final question is, I love to talk. Robyn loves to run. What does the waves of change mean to you?
just can't visualize of you surfing in Bali. For fuck's sake. The waves of change, it's actually the waves of change is a good way to describe the flow of life, if I can put it that way. Because we're constantly moving, we're constantly changing, and it's constantly up and down. And that's life.
Oh, what an answer. I love it. I love it. Hairs on my arms standing up. Thank you, Robyn, very much for your time. I cannot wait for round 2. We missed loads of stuff there, but it was a pleasure having you.
I know. Full of points, jot them down, and I'll definitely have more time when I come back.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Enjoy your travels.
Thanks so much. See you later.
You're very well.